Who are you and how do you see yourself? I want you to think of these two questions as we go through today's speech about how I got into public speaking and how my self-perception changed as a result. I got into public speaking almost 7 or almost 8 years ago now, during my very first week of undergraduate school. It was a Thursday, 6 p.m. I remember showing up, the room was absolutely packed, like 40, 50 people. It was the very first meeting of the year, and I've never done this sort of thing before. And I remember I made a pact with myself and that I would try and participate on my very first meeting. We had to do these book sales where we had to present these books. Book title, you present it for 1 minute to 2 minutes. And I remember it was my turn, I was number 8. I go up there and I try to speak. And 10 seconds into whatever I was trying to sell about this book, I straight up choked. I'm talking nothing was coming out of my mouth. It's like the more I tried, like it just felt like a lump in my throat and nothing was coming out of there. It almost felt like that song, like by Eminem, Lose Yourself, like you open your mouth but the words won't come out. It literally felt like that. And I remember they were telling us that to try and look at the audience. And the more I tried to do this, the more I felt like I was looking in, like almost looking at myself talking, but from the side. It's like I was trying to speak and the whole time I was looking at myself from the side and I was asking myself, what are you doing? What are you doing? This is freaking terrible. Like, this sucks. This is going badly. I'm humiliating. Like, I can't believe I'm doing this. And I bumbled through like almost 1 minute to 2 minutes of this, and it was probably one of the worst experiences of my life. I remember I sat down, and the club had this thing where, you clap for the person that tried, encouragement, points of improvement, congratulations on your very first try. But I knew that this freaking sucked. I blew it. And I'm not sure what I blew exactly because this is for fun, but it's humiliating as an experience. But then the club president was talking about how it took him almost 6 weeks before he had the courage to go up and present his very first impromptu talk. And he said that when he got up there, he felt that his legs were shaking so hard that when he went to bed that night, he felt that the shaking wouldn't stop. Now, mind you, this dude was he seemed like this super charismatic, super out there guy, and I found it baffling because this huge contrast. I'm hyper competitive, and I was like, you know what? This guy can do it, so can I. And so I showed up the next week, and the week after that, and the week after that, and the week after that. And somewhere along the way, I started feeling myself very comfortably in there. I started feeling that I'm not as anxious, that I'm not having a lump in my throat anymore. I felt confident enough to say jokes in front of the audience. And it's almost like I started feeling that I am somebody who can stand up there and present in front of other people. But I also started noticing these changes in my behavior in other aspects of my life. For example, during that time, there was the opportunity to run for class president. And this is something I've never even considered. I'm in a different country, in a different, like a new university. This is just completely not on my plate. And I felt, you know what? If I can present in front of others now, might as well try. And I remember going up there and trying to give my very first class talk. When they try to give like 1 minute to 2 minute spiels. And again, during that minute spiel, I started feeling like I'm choking again. And it's that same third person perspective look. I was looking at myself and I felt myself mumbling again. And I keep asking, what am I doing? This is not who I am. Why am I doing this? But I did, and then I did my next class talk, and the one after that. And the more I did it, the more comfortable I became doing it. And during that same period of time, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do salsa dancing. I had the opportunity to. I showed up. I've never danced in my room before, and let alone in front of other people. Yet I did that, and this was completely different to me. And so I felt like these changes were starting to happen in how I perceive myself. And one way in psychology they explain this is through this theory called cognitive dissonance, which basically says that whenever there is a dissonance or difference between our thoughts and behaviors, we feel this discomfort, and we try to resolve this discomfort somehow. So for example, let's say you're a vegetarian, and you've been strict vegetarian for 5 years, and one day on a barbecue, you go up there and you eat a steak. And whenever that happens, you would feel uncomfortable, or some discomfort starts to happen, whether you're guilty or just uncomfort. And as a result, one of few ways it's going to unfold. For example, you could say, okay, well, maybe I don't think that being a vegetarian is as important to me as it was, and so I'm no longer a vegetarian. Maybe you could say, okay, well, this is a one-time thing and it won't happen again. Maybe you could double down and reinforce on that belief and say, you know what? I am never ever doing this again. And so you could see, or maybe you could say, well, maybe I'll make an exception. It's a one-time thing. Maybe I can do it only on the weekends. Whatever happens, you're going to try to resolve this conflict between whatever you did and how you thought. And I felt like this was what's happening with me, whether consciously or not. I tried to resolve this difference. And that clearly, I did not see myself as somebody who did this. But by repeatedly doing these behaviors, I started to see myself as that kind of person who stands up there and presents in front of an audience. That, you know what, I can run for these positions of leadership. My voice is actually the voice of the people, whether I knew it or not. And I can actually go up and dance and feel comfortable in my own skin in front of other people. And so these changes, as a result of repeated actions, started changing how I internally, that monologue, that voice that was talking, eventually started quieting down and started accepting that this is what I do. This is who I am. So what I call on to you is to think about your own behaviors, your own thoughts, your own intrinsically held thoughts of how you see yourself. What do you think could be changed? What is one belief that you hold on very dearly that you believe could be changed? And is it possible to mold yourself in an image that you want to have right now by taking behaviors and actions today so that you can become that person in the future? Who are you and how do you see yourself? Well, there goes my speech. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave in the comments what kind of thoughts, actions, and behaviors that you'd like to change in yourself and the kind of person that you hope to become. Thank you, and I'll see you soon in the next video.